Hello guys, this is your friend Dark Fox Sage. And we are back with our new fanfic, which is What if banished Naruto united the Western continent and became the Emperor of the West? Part 2. And if you enjoy this fanfic, then subscribe to the channel and like the video, it motivates me to upload more fanfics like these for you all. Now let's start the fanfic. Once Naruto fell into his meditation position, he began to focus his mind. For the first few minutes not much happened for Naruto, but eventually something did happen. Enter Naruto's mindscape. As Naruto was meditating, he suddenly found himself in a large dark tunnel, filled up to his ankles in water. "Where the hell am I?" asked Naruto out loud, as he looked around the dark tunnel. Knowing he wouldn't get any answers by just standing around, Naruto started to walk forward to see where the tunnel ended. After a few minutes, Naruto reached the end of the tunnel, where he entered a large room, with a massive cage at the other end of the room, with a large paper seal in front of it, acting like a lock, between the two cage doors. Deciding to investigate further, Naruto walked towards the cage, where once he was only a few feet from the cage. He suddenly stopped as he saw a pair of massive glowing red eyes open wide, followed by a massive mouth with razor-sharp teeth. It was then that Naruto realized who the creature was, due to seeing pictures of it from books he read when he was in the academy. "Kyuubi," muttered Naruto in a soft whisper of surprise, as he had always been told that the Yondaime Hokage had killed the Kyuubi. "So my tenant has finally graced me with his presence," spoke the Kyuubi in a dark, menacing voice, which would have made many brave men shudder in fear. But Naruto showed no such thing and just stared at the Kyuubi. Impressive, you've some courage as you don't seem afraid of me, but then again I would nothing less from that man's son," spoke the Kyuubi in amusement when he saw that Naruto was unafraid of him. "Where am I? How are you alive, as the Yondaime Hokage was said to have killed you years ago? And what do you mean by his son? Do you mean that you know who my birth father is?" demanded Naruto as he stared at the Kyuubi, as he clearly knew things that he wanted to know. "Hey, so you don't know, do you?" asked the Kyuubi in amusement, as he found the fact Naruto didn't even know who his parents were. "Tell me," demanded Naruto as he wanted answers. "Fine, since I find you so amusing," answered Kyuubi, as he smirked slightly at Naruto staring at him angrily. "We're currently inside a seal that was placed on you by your wretched father, the Yondaime Hokage, as despite what you have been told, he didn't kill me, as I cannot be killed. The Yondaime Hokage could only seal me away, where when you were born, he sealed me into you." At hearing this, Naruto's eyes widened in shock. "The why Yondaime Hokage is my father and sealed you into me when I was born?" said Naruto in shock, where the Kyuubi just nodded. When Naruto heard this, everything in his life in Konoha suddenly made sense. The fact that everyone in Konoha hated him, the fact that everyone called him demon or monster, it now made perfect sense. To them, Naruto was representation of the demon that nearly destroyed Konoha and killed so many of their loved ones. Realizing this, Naruto could not help but feel angry at what his father had helped do him, as he was the one who placed the Kyuubi into him and subjected him to 9 years of hell. But whether he knew what would happen to him or not did not matter to Naruto, for as far as he was concerned, Iroh was his father, who had taken him in and cared for him like his own son. While the Yondaime was nothing more than a stranger, who him placed a demon into him when he was born. "Indeed, and he was the one who placed me into you, and your mother was also the previous host to me before you." "Wait, my mother was also just like me and had you placed into her," spoke Naruto correct, where the Kyuubi just nodded again. "But why?" "Because your village wanted to use my power to keep them strong, and the only way to do that was to place me into a human like you and have you use my immense power for their benefit." At hearing this, Naruto became angry, at how both he and his mother were both used by Konoha to keep it strong. While at the same time the village treated him like the plague and made his life hell, for something that wasn't his fault. But if you were sealed into my mother, why are you in me? Asked Naruto as if what the Kyuubi said was true. Then the Kyuubi should have been in his mother or at least died with her. Because on the day you were born, a man wearing a orang mask takes your mother after she gave birth to you. Since the man knew that when a female Jinchuriki gives birth the seal of their demon weakens, allowing said demon like myself to break free, spoke the Kyuubi. After he takes your mother he used his powers to free me and place me under his control and had me attack your former village in the hopes of destroying it. But in the end your father the Yondaime Hokage freed me of the man's control and then later stopped me by sealing me into you. And what happened to my parents? Asked Naruto. I killed them, replied Kyuubi. You what? Cried Naruto in shock. I killed them, although to be honest they were already dying as the technique that your father used cost him his life and your mother was slowly dying. Since the process of extracting any biju like myself from their host is so painful that they will die from it, answered the Kyuubi without the slightest bit of remorse for what he had done. At hearing all this Naruto glared at the Kyuubi with every ounce of hate he could muster in himself and aim it at the Kyuubi. For not only was this creature that was one of the reasons why he had such a miserable life, but it was also the being that killed both his parents and had left him an orphan. After a few minutes at glaring at the Kyuubi, Naruto took several deep breaths to calm himself down, just as his adopted father Iroh had taught him. Upon when he then looked directly at the Kyuubi and spoke again. Who was the masked man that freed you? Asked Naruto. Since as far he was concerned that man was the main cause of all his suffering, as it was he who had freed the Kyuubi and had basically killed his mother. His name is Uchiha Madara, replied the Kyuubi. Uchiha, thought Naruto, as he remembered the name of the famed clan of Konoha, as one of his former classmates Sasuke was a member of the clan, but before Naruto could think more on the matter, the Kyuubi continued to speak. He was the co-founder of your former village and was the former rival of your Shodai Hokage, who he fought and lost to later on. So why are you telling me all this, as I doubt you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, nor do I think that you're just doing because you like talking to me, spoke Naruto. At this the Kyuubi smirked again in amusement. Maybe you aren't as stupid as you look, commented the Kyuubi, causing Naruto to glare angrily at him. The reason that I'm telling you all this is because I'm going to give you a special gift. At hearing this, Naruto narrowed his eyes. I don't want any gifts from you, not after everything you did to me, he said angrily. Are you sure you don't want what I have to offer? Especially since I can offer you the ability to firebend, but also give you special flames that are unlike any others. How can you do that? You're not even from this land. How can you even teach me to firebend? Asked Naruto, not believing the Kyuubi and believing that it was some sort of trick. Foolish child, I'm a spirit and have lived longer than any other human alive and have seen much. The bending arts themselves were taught by the great spirits of the spirit world to you human in this land. Unlike you shinobis from the elemental continent, where you developed your own fighting styles that mimic the bending arts, by using chakra, instead of bending the actual elements as they do here. At hearing this, Naruto had to admit what the Kyuubi said did make sense, since the Kyuubi was a demon, meaning he was basically a spirit and couldn't die of old age. But even still he did not believe the creature, considering all the suffering he put him through and how the Kyuubi was basically evil who loved causing chaos and destruction. What exactly are you offering me? Asked Naruto, for even though he hated the Kyuubi and did not trust him, he would at least hear what he has to say. I offer you not only the ability to be able to do firebending, but also these flames, spoke the Kyuubi, where he lifted up his paw up and squeezed it through the bars and showed Naruto a small white flame. I offer you the flames of Kojin, a Japanese god of fire, which are the scared white flames of the heavens, which burn as hot as the sun and can match the black flames of hell itself. The flames are capable of burning anything, even smothering regular fire, but only harm those that the user wishes to burn or those who hold negative feelings towards the user. For if the flames hit an ally or someone that the user cares for, then they will not burn them. This is because these flames are more controlled than others' flames. Also, like the flames of hell, they can also to burn for 7 days and 7 nights, and cannot be extinguished with water or any other normal methods, where the user is the only one that can normally extinguish them. They are also extremely effective against demons like myself and other evil spirits, due to them being sacred. But unlike the black flames, which burn slowly, these flames will burn anything that in its path instantly. At this, Naruto eyes widened slightly at the power that the flames had, and for a second or two he was ready to instantly agree and take them. But before he could, he quickly stopped himself, remembering who he was dealing with right now. If these flames are the flames of the heavens as you say, then how can you use them, since you're a demon? Asked Naruto with suspicion. I cannot use them, as you say, since I am a demon, making them worthless to me, but since I'm also a spirit of fire, I can at least summon them and even pass them on to someone like you, stated the Kyuubi. At hearing this, Naruto became even more suspicious of the Kyuubi. Then why are you giving me these flames? Especially since, as you said, they can be used to hurt you. It because for the past 9 years, ever since your wretched father sealed me into you, I have had nothing to do but sit in this cage and watch your worthless life. This of course has been extremely dull and boring, and although I will break free of this seal one day and devour you, I'll need some form of entrainment until then. Hence I've decided to spice things up by giving you these flames and see how you use them, answered the Kyuubi. At hearing this, Naruto became angry at hearing how his life was nothing more than entertainment to the demon fox and was about to yell at the demon and tell what he could do with his flames. But before Naruto could reply to the Kyuubi's offer, the fox spoke again. If you take these flames, then not only can you make your new father proud, but also show all those other fools like the Fire Lord the power you possess, spoke the Kyuubi, playing of Naruto's thrust to prove himself to others and show that he was more than what most people thought he was. And as the Kyuubi suspected when he said this, he saw Naruto staring longingly at the white flame that was in the Kyuubi's paw. The Kyuubi plan was of course to have Naruto use the white flames for destruction, for he had been watching Naruto the past 6 months and knew of the great war that the Fire Nation was raging. He was also well aware of the destruction and chaos that the Fire Nation was bringing throughout these lands, due to him being also a being of chaos and destruction as well. Hence he wanted some part in on it, which was why giving Naruto these flames was part of it. The Kyuubi of course knew of Naruto's longing for acceptance by those around him, much like the longing he had when he was in Konoha. He also knew that if he gave Naruto these flames, he would eventually use them in the war, whether it was by his own choice. Where he joined the army in the hopes of gaining acceptance in the Fire Nation, by fighting in the war and gaining fame or glory for himself, or be forced in the war by the Fire Lord, in the hopes of using the flames to the Fire Nation's advantage. Either of which was fine by the Kyuubi, since his plan was to have Naruto fight in the Fire Nation's war and use the white flames, and have him cause more chaos and unbalance in the world. This of course would greatly amuse the Kyuubi, since he found the irony of using the flames of heaven to cause more chaos and distraction to the world extremely amusing. He also hoped that if Naruto entered this war on the Fire Nation's side, then the war would corrupt him and turn Naruto into something much more fitting for a being like himself, Kyuubi. After a few minutes, Naruto suddenly spoke up and said, I take them. After hearing Naruto answer, the Kyuubi smirked and then leaned a bit more forward and took Naruto to take the flame onto both his hands and then press them into his chest. Naruto of course did what the Kyuubi said, where as soon as he pressed the white flames into his chest he suddenly felt the warm heat of the flames spread throughout his body. After which he saw a sort of white glow surround his body like an aura. Good, the flames are now within you. Now you can do firebending and use white fire, spoke the Kyuubi, after which he then told Naruto to leave as he was tried, which Naruto was more than happy to do as he had enough of talking to the wretched demon fox as well. End Naruto's mindscape. As Naruto came out of his meditation state, he heard his father voice calling out to him and felt him shaking him. Naruto. Once he fully came of his meditation state and opened his eyes, Naruto found his father Iroh standing in front of him with a worried look and holding his arms, shaking him slightly. While his little pet monkey Xiao Zi was pinch Naruto cheeks, hoping to waken his master, since like Iroh he was worried about Naruto. Dad, spoke Naruto with slight confusion, as he was still slightly disoriented after just coming out of his meditation state. Naruto, thank goodness that you all right, spoke Iroh with clear relief. I was calling out to you for several minutes, but you were in too deep a trance and didn't reply to me. I was beginning to worry. I'm all right, Dad, just a little woozy. How long was I out? Asked Naruto. About 20 minutes, I would say. I became even more concerned when I saw white glow around your body just a moment ago. What happened to you, Naruto? At this, Naruto sighed, where he spent the next half hour explaining to his father what had happened. When Naruto explained everything that happened, Iroh had a slight frown upon learning this, as he became suspicious at how the Kyuubi gave his adopted son these powerful flames for simple amusement. He was even more concerned at the fact that the Kyuubi was in his son to begin with, as he had read about the demon from one of the books he had gotten when he visited the elemental continent. Hence he knew how powerful the demon was, along with all the destruction and chaos it had caused. As Iroh thought over what he had just learned from Naruto, his adopted son suddenly spoke up with a concerned look, due to seeing the frown on his Iroh face. You don't think I'm a monster, do you, Dad? Asked a worried Naruto, as he was afraid that if his adopted father would hate him just like most of the people in Konoha did, because he had the Kyuubi inside him. Upon hearing this, Iroh quickly put his hand on Naruto's shoulder and smiled kindly at Naruto. Of course not, Naruto, only a fool would think that you are a monster, as you're no more a monster than I. Spoke Iroh, where Xiao Zi cried, eek, agreeing with Iroh. This of course made Naruto smile, happy at the fact that his father still cared for him regardless of what lay within him. He even petted Xiao Zi on the head, thanking his little friend for his support. But we'll have to be more careful now, spoke Iroh seriously, gaining Naruto attention, as there'll be others like those in your former village that'll not understand you and will fear you, as unfortunately people tend to fear and hate things that they do not understand. Also there'll be those like my brother, who if they found out that a powerful demon like the Kyuubi was sealed within you, then they'll do what your former village tried to do and try and turn you into a living weapon and use the demon's power to finish the war. At hearing this, Naruto nodded in agreement with his adopted father, as he wouldn't put it past his adopted uncle to do such a thing. But first we see if what the Kyuubi did worked and if you can firebend, spoke Iroh, where Naruto nodded, and took up a basic stance that his father taught him and taking in deep breath just as his father told him to do. After which he then did a fast jab to create a ball of fire, but instead of creating a small fireball, a giant ball of white fire burst from his fist, which blasted Naruto backwards due to not expecting the tremendous power from the blast. When Naruto was blasted back from the force of the fireball that he created, Xiao Zi quickly cried out in fear and jumped off Naruto and onto the ground, just as he was blasted backwards. At the same time, the giant ball of white fire flew toward a large tree that was in front of Naruto, where the ball of fire quickly enveloped the tree, and within less than a minute the tree was reduced to ash and the white flames continued burning. When Naruto was blasted back by the ball of white fire, Iroh and Xiao Zi quickly ran to Naruto, who skidded backwards a bit on the ground before stopping. Once Iroh reached Naruto, he helped his adopted son up. Naruto, are you okay? Ow, 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 I think so, it just caught me by surprise, said Naruto as he got up, whereas he did. Xiaozi quickly jumped onto his master's back and had a concerned look on his little face. Seeing this, Naruto just smiled. "Don't worry, Xiaozi, I'm fine," after which he petted his little friend on the head again, showing he was fine, making the little monkey smile. After doing this, Naruto then looked towards the tree in front of him and saw that it was reduced to ash in space of less than a minute. Did I do that?" asked Naruto in surprise as she saw what his flames did. "Yes, it seems that your white flames are extremely powerful," said Iroh, who was just as surprised at the power of Naruto's white fire, even more so when the flames continued burning, after the tree was burnt to ash. Once Naruto got back up on his feet, he and Iroh went over to the still burning white flames and picked them up, where just as the Kyuubi told Naruto, the flames did not hurt his adopted father. In fact, when he picked them up, Iroh felt the warmth of them flames without being burnt by them. As Iroh looked at the small flame in his hand, he could not help but marvel at the flames, as they were beautiful and seemed so pure and perfect and could do no harm. They were unlike any other flames he had ever seen before in his life. Upon seeing the small white flame in Iroh's hand, Xiaozi quickly jumped off Naruto's shoulder and onto Iroh, where he climbed down his arm and went up to the flame, where he brought his small paw up to it, where like with Naruto it did not burn or hurt him and felt warm. For the next few minutes, Naruto, Iroh and Xiaozi stared in wonder at the white flames, where after the few minutes Iroh spoke up. "These flames of yours are truly a wondrous thing, Naruto. I've never seen anything like them before in my many years, and they also seem to be extremely powerful, judging by what just happened. We'll have to train hard for you to be able to control them, as your white fire seemed to make even the most basic fire technique extremely powerful." Naruto of course nodded in understanding, as he knew his adopted father was right, after which Iroh then dropped the white flame he picked up and asked Naruto to see if he could extinguish the white fire. Since from what Kyuubi told Naruto, the flames would continue to burn for 7 days and nights, where if they left them then chances were someone would come across them. Where if someone saw white flames burning constantly on the ground without burning themselves out, then it would draw a great deal of attention on Iroh and Naruto, which was something they wanted to avoid, at least for now until they got their stories straight. At first when Naruto tried to extinguish his white flames he had no luck, but after a few minutes and much concentration, he was able to extinguish his flames. Once the flames had been extinguished, Iroh decided that they would call it a day and celebrate Naruto's first successful attempt in firebending, but would keep the news between themselves, at least until Naruto gained better control over his new flames. Iroh also planned to set up a training regime to allow Naruto to control his new fire better, as after seeing the power of white fire, he knew that if Naruto didn't learn to control them, they could be extremely dangerous to not only Naruto himself but to others around him. But that would be for tomorrow, since today would be spent celebrating Naruto becoming a firebender, one which Iroh believed would surpass all others, even himself. But even as he thought this, Iroh was unaware at how true this belief was, since this was the beginning of a new legend that was about to be born, one that would be known throughout not only the 4 great elemental kingdoms, but also in the shinobi world of the elemental continent, the legend of the White Fire Prince of the Fire Nation. Currently in the middle of the place garden, Naruto was practicing the fire-bending stances that his adopted father Iroh taught him. The moves themselves were not typical firebending stances that most firebenders used. These stances were called the Dancing Dragons, an ancient firebending style that Iroh had learned, which didn't require a firebenders to use anger, hate or rage to create his or her flames. For the past month and a half, Naruto had been practicing hard in his firebending, so to control his white flames. Due to the great power that the flames had, Naruto had trouble controlling his flames, where every time he fired his flames, he would be blown back by the recoil. For most of their training, Iroh had focused on Naruto strengthening his stances, so that he could withstand the recoil of firing his flames, while at the same time, be able to control the amount of flames he fired. Due to the strength of his flames, he didn't need to put as much power in his fire as most firebenders would in their attacks to get a certain result. Naruto's training was of course not easy, as he spent nearly every day practicing his firebending, but slowly and surely he was making progress and improving his firebending. As Naruto continued with his training, his pet monkey Xiao Zi sat on a nearby tree branch munching on a small piece of apple, as he watched Naruto train. Normally Naruto would train outside the palace, so to stay out of prying eyes and keep his special flames a secret for as long as possible. But due to his adopted father Iroh being called for a war council meeting, with the Fire Lord and his generals, Naruto was forced to stay in the palace to train. As Naruto continued practicing his moves, he made sure not to release his flames, so not to attract unwanted attention from people. The reason why Naruto was keeping his new flames a secret was because his father believed it would be best to keep his new flames hidden from everyone until he was able to control them fully. Since when people learned of his white fire, there would be many unwanted questions being asked, which could lead to people discovering about the Kyuubi being sealed within him, where they would then take him away from his father. As Naruto practiced his stances, he suddenly heard a familiar laugh and voice coming from behind him. Well, if it isn't Little Whisker, training to try and become a firebender. Before he even turned around, Naruto already knew who the person that spoke was, since he immediately recognized the voice and only two people ever called him Whisker. One would say it is a harmless nickname, while the other would use it as an insult and a tool to make fun of him. The person who had said it now, clearly was using it as the lesser of the two. What do you want, Azula? As I don't have the time or the patience to deal with you today, said the annoyed Naruto, as he turned around to face his adopted cousin, who was accompanied by Mai and Tai Li. Oh, how hurtful, is that any way to greet your dear cousin, replied Azula, feigning hurt at Naruto's word. It's no worse than how you treated me, now what do you want? As I'm busy, replied Naruto as he tried to focus on his training and ignore Azula. Oh, nothing much, the girls and I were just walking around and we saw you training and decided it would be fun to watch you try to firebend, answered Azula, emphasizing the word try, so to annoy Naruto. Naruto of course did not respond to Azula's taunts and continued to practice his stances, after a few minutes. Seeing that Naruto wouldn't rise to her taunts, Azula decided to try another method to get to Naruto. It seems that you're still not quite getting it, Whiskers. Let me show you how a real firebender does things, spoke Azula as she walked to Naruto and pushed him aside. After which she took a basic fighting stance and fired a powerful blast of fire at the branch of a tree near them. The same branch that Xiao Zi was sitting on and eating his apple. When Xiao Zi saw the large fire blast coming at him, the little monkey barely avoided the blast by jumping off the branch, which quickly became consumed by the flames and burned off the tree. Xiao Zi, cried Naruto when he saw what Azula did and raced over to his little friend, who was frightened out of his mind and shaking like a leaf. Once Naruto was next to the little monkey, he immediately picked Xiao Zi up and held him close and panted him to calm the poor thing down. Azula of course just smirked cruelly, pleased with what she had done. Although she was the only one, as he friends Tai Li and Mai did not share her enjoyment. When they saw what Azula had done, Tai Li was of course shocked at what Azula did to poor Xiao Zi. Mai on the other hand wasn't least bit surprised, where she remained completely blank-faced, but did frown slightly. When Azula turned to look at her friends, she saw the looks on their faces. What? Asked Azula, as if she did nothing wrong. Azula, why did you do that to poor Xiao Zi? He didn't do anything. Asked Tai Li with concern. I was just showing Whiskers how firebending was done, besides it was just a monkey, it's not like he valuable or anything, remarked Azula. Shut up, cried Naruto angrily, as he glared at Azula with anger for what she had done. Upon seeing this, Azula of course just smirked, as she enjoyed the fact that she had gotten to Naruto. "Oh, I'm sorry, are you upset that I scared little friend?" asked Azula with a sadistic smirk, which further to infuriate Naruto even more. "You can insult and push me around all you want, Azula, but I won't stand when you attack any of my friends," said Naruto angrily. "Oh, and what can someone like you, who can't even firebend, do? Even Zuzu can do better than you, and that says a lot," replied Azula. "I can do more than you think, Azula, and I am more than happy to show you," retorted Naruto. "Is that so?" said Azula as an evil smirk appeared on her face. "Well, that sounds like a challenge to me, and I'd be more than happy to answer." "What do you mean?" asked Naruto. "I challenge you to an Agni Kai. Do you accept, or are you too scared to face a real firebender?" challenged Azula, adding the exact insult to get Naruto riled up, which worked. "Fine, I accept," responded Naruto, who was too angry at Azula right now to think clearly. "No, Naruto, don't, you can't win against Azula, you get who?" warned Ty Lee, but was interrupted by Azula. "Quiet, Ty Lee. He accepted my challenge and he can't back out of it now, not unless he wants to be disgraced, well as it whiskers," said Azula as she turned from Ty Lee to Naruto with a cruel smile and emphasized the word whiskers. "Like hell I will. Let's do it here and now and get it over with," replied Naruto angrily, as he put Xiaozi down in a safe place and then fell into a fighting stance. "Oh no, we won't have it here, it just won't suit. We'll hold things off and give you time to train a bit more. Not that it helped though," said Azula with a smirk before continuing. "We'll have the duel in a fortnight's time, that way, no one can say I didn't give you a sporting chance." "Fine," replied Naruto, not caring when or where he fought Azula. After hearing Naruto's response, Azula just smirked and then walked away and was soon followed by Ty Lee and Mai. But not before both girls gave Naruto slightly worried glances, as they knew how skilled Azula was when it came to firebending and how ruthless she could be. Hence they did not believe Naruto could win against Azula. Once the girls finished looking back at Naruto, they quickly turned around and started to follow Azula again, leaving Naruto and Xiaozi alone in the royal garden again. Several hours later in Naruto's room, as Naruto sat in his room reading one of his scrolls on fire bending that his father gave him, he suddenly heard the large double doors of his room opening. When he turned to see who opened the doors, he saw his adopted father Iroh enter, with Zuko closely following him. "Naruto, is it true? Did you really accept an Agni Kai challenge from Azula?" asked Zuko. "I did," replied Naruto. "Naruto, why did you do such a thing? You're not yet ready for such a thing, as you still need to train more in controlling your flames," spoke Iroh. "I'm sorry, Dad. It's just that when I was training, Azula started to taunt me and then attack Xiaozi, and I got so angry at her that I couldn't think straight," said Naruto, where after he had calmed down, he fully realized what he had gotten himself into. At hearing this, Iroh sighed, as he figured Azula had manipulated Naruto in some way into accepting her challenge. He had first heard of the challenge after the War Council meeting ended, where Azula entered the throne room and told her father in front of everyone in the room that she had challenged Naruto to an Agni Kai and he had accepted. After hearing this, Iroh had tried to interject, stating that both Azula and Naruto were too young to fight an Agni Kai. Unfortunately, Ozai overruled him, stating that Azula was more than skilled enough to fight in an Agni Kai, and since Naruto had accepted her challenge, the fight could not be stopped. After hearing this, Iroh quickly raced to Naruto's room, where he was joined by Zuko, who had heard from Mai what had happened. Like Ty Lee and Mai, Zuko did not believe Naruto could beat Azula, even though Naruto had told him not too long ago that he could firebend. It did not mean he could defeat Azula in a fight, as Azula was a firebending prodigy, much like his grandfather Fire Lord Azulon, and would crush Naruto. Well, what's done is done, as there is no point in worrying over something that has happened. Now we must prepare you for your match against Azula, stated Iroh. So you're going to help me train? Asked Naruto excitedly, thinking that his adopted father was going to teach him so cool new firebending technique that would help him beat Azula. Of course, but first, let us sit down and have a nice hot cup of jasmine tea, said the former fire general with a friendly smile. Upon seeing this, the two young boys just looked at him with disbelieving looks, with large sweat drops on the back of their head, wondering if Iroh was entirely right in the head at times. 2 weeks later, Agni Kai Chamber. Currently waiting on the battle platform, Princess Azula patiently waited for her adopted cousin, opponent Naruto, to arrive. The chamber itself was filled with many spectators, since word had quickly spread about the upcoming battle between the Fire Lord's daughter and the adopted son of the former great General Iroh, better well known as the Dragon of the West. The crowd itself was made up of many people, such as off-duty servants, royal guards, along with noble men and women, as well as important military officers. Many of course were certain that Azula would win, given how it was well known that she was a highly gifted firebending prodigy. But still there were those who had to support Naruto, such as the servants and some of the guards. Since the young blonde had become rather popular among the more lower-class people in the palace. Also among the crowd were the young crown Prince Zuko, who stood quietly next to his father, who had come to watch the fight, to see his daughter defeat his brother's son, and show him his place. As Zuko kept a lookout for Iroh and Naruto to show, he also noticed Mai and Tai Li, who stood next to their own families, who came to watch the battle between the two members of the royal family. Soon enough, the large double doors to the chamber opened up, where Iroh and Naruto and their personal guards entered the large chamber together. When the small group entered the chamber and began to walk towards the battle platform, a large amount of whispering began, where many people stared at the group, or more precisely, at Naruto, who looked fairly ragged and dirty. Naruto of course ignored the stares and whispers of the crowd, where he focused on Azula at the other end of the platform, who smirked confidently, as Naruto neared the platform. Once Naruto and Iroh and their guards reached the platform, Naruto lifted Xiao Zi off his shoulder and handed him to his father, who in turn gently placed the little monkey on his own shoulder. After which Iroh then knelt down to Naruto and placed both hands of Naruto's shoulders. Now remember your firebending basics, Naruto, as well as what else I taught you. They are your greatest weapons, no matter who you face against. I will, Dad, replied Naruto with a serious look. Good luck, Naruto, spoke Hu in his usual gruff voice and nodded to the young blonde. Show her and the rest of these snobs what you're capable of, said Zhang, with an encouraging grin behind his masked helmet, as he placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder. You can count on it, replied Naruto with his own grin, after which Iroh and the guards went over to stands, where Iroh stood next to his brother Ozai in the front row, while Naruto walked up the small stairs of the platform. Once Naruto was on the platform, Azula spoke up. Well, looks like you finally showed up, and are even dressed in a style that suits your class, although I must say, I was half expecting you to back out or run away. As if, replied Naruto as he narrowed his eyes. Well, it doesn't matter now, as this won't take very long, since you can't use any of your ninja tricks in an Agni Kai match, and by the time I'm done with you, not even Uncle Iroh will be able to stand looking at you, said Azula with a sadistic-looking smirk. Naruto of course didn't retort to this, and he just narrowed his eyes, where he and Azula then turned their back to one another and knelt down and waited for the match observer to begin the match. As the crowd waited for the match to begin, Ozai decided to taunt his brother a little. I do hope that your son can put up a fight, for if not, this will not be much of a battle. You need not worry about Naruto, my brother, as he is more than capable of handling himself, replied Iroh with serious look on his face. We shall see, replied Ozai, as he kept his eyes on the two youth, not really believing his brother, as he was certain that his daughter would easily defeat the mongrel that his brother brought into their family. Soon after the match observer began the battle, where the two youths stood up and took up fighting stances when they turned to face each other. Azula quickly started things off by sending a large red and orange fireball at Naruto. Seeing the large fireball coming at him, Naruto immediately jumped to the left to avoid Azula's fireball. After seeing that Naruto had avoided her first attack, Azula fired another fireball at Naruto, who quickly ducked under the ball of fire just when it was about to hit him. Huh, I see Uncle has taught you how to duck and run around like a coward, but I doubt he taught you what a real firebender can do, so allow me to show you, spoke Azula. After which she thrust both her fists forward and launched a massive ball of fire at the blonde-haired prince. As the ball of fire came at him, Naruto knew he couldn't sidestep or suck under the large fireball this time. So he quickly jumped up high into the air and flipped over the fireball, just as it was about to hit him, narrowly avoiding it. Whoa, close one, said Naruto out loud. You like that? Well, here's some more, said Azula, as she fired yet another massive fireball with both her fists. Knowing that he wouldn't be able to avoid this attack, Naruto quickly took up a defensive stance that his father taught him where just as the attack was about to hit him. He brought down his hand in a downward-like slash, causing the fireball to split in two and fly past him on either side of him. Natural after seeing this, Azula and many others in the crowd of spectators were of course surprised at Naruto using an advanced fire blocking technique. Looks like I underestimated you slightly, Whiskers, but let's see you try block all of these, cried Azula, as she fired 3 more large fireballs. Naruto of course quickly avoided the 3 fireballs in a series of impressive acrobatic skills, which was thanks not only to his shinobi training, but also from all the times he played with Ty Lee. Not bad, Naruto, but it'll take more than just fancy dodging to win this fight, stated Azula, as she prepared to fire another set of fireballs. At this comment Naruto just smirked and replied, "Oh, you were fighting? I didn't think we were getting serious yet, I thought we were just getting warmed up." You haven't seen anything yet, stated Azula, as she fired yet another set of fireballs at Naruto, who of course continued to dodge them as they came at him. Come on Azula, is that all you got? Said Naruto with a smile, as she sidestepped yet another fireball. Annoyed by what Naruto said, Azula quickly moved forward towards Naruto on the platform, where once he was only a few feet away from her. She did a wide spinning kick and unleashed an wide blazing arc of fire at Naruto, who quickly jumped up high into the air to avoid the fire attack. Is that really all you got? As I gotta say, I'm disappointed. They'll call anyone a prodigy these days, taunted Naruto after he landed on the ground where he saw that he was getting to Azula. Not even close, retorted Azula angrily, as she narrowed her eyes and fired a stream of fire at Naruto, who narrowly avoided it. Missed again, taunted Naruto after he avoided the attack. I have to say, I thought you were better than this, even Zuko can do better than you right now. Damn you, cried Azula angrily, where she fired another fireball at him. As she was starting to lose her cool, at how Naruto was avoiding all her attack and making her look like a fool, while at the same time insinuating that Zuko was better than her. Naruto of course quickly ducked under the fireball and then got back up on his feet, where he then continued to taunt his female cousin. You missed again. Yesh. Azula, you're getting sloppy, very sloppy. Shut up, you filthy peasant, cried the angry Azula, who was infuriated at how Naruto was continuing mocking her and how he continued to avoid all her attacks, making her look incompetent. Naruto of course smiled at seeing this, as it was nice to give Azula a taste of her own medicine, given how much she would taunt and mock him and Zuko over the months. But even still, His taunting of her was not just to get back at Azula for all the things she did to him over the months. His taunts were actuality part of the strategy that his father had come up with to help him with against Azula. Flashback to 2 weeks ago. After dodging a fireball from Iroh, Naruto quickly looked up and saw another ball of fire heading for him, forcing him to jump up high into the air to avoid it. This of course continued for several more minutes, until Iroh decided that it was time to take a break and have a nice cup of tea, as well as stating that he needed to take a break, since he wasn't as young as he used to be, as they had been at this for several hours. As Iroh poured himself and Naruto some tea, Naruto decided to ask Iroh a question. "Dad, why are you having me do all this? I thought you were going to teach me some advanced firebending moves to beat Azula." Iroh of course did not answer straight away, where he slowly took another sip of his tea, although when he finished drinking, he then looked at his adopted son. "What I'm teaching you, Naruto, is something much more important than firebending," answered Iroh, before taking another sip of his tea. "What? By moving around and avoiding attacks?" said Naruto, as he found the whole idea rather silly. "Yes," replied Iroh simply. "But what good will that do me when Azula is trying to roast me alive with her flames?" stated Naruto, as he still didn't understand what his adopted father was thinking. "Then let me show you," answered Iroh, where he then went over to Xiaozi, who was happily eating some nuts that Iroh had given him earlier, where he then whispered to the little monkey, who just went, "Eek," in agreement, when Iroh finished whispering, who then turned to Naruto again. "Now Naruto, I want you to try and catch Xiaozi." "Huh," stated Naruto in confusion. "I want you to try and catch Xiaozi," repeated Iroh with a smile. "But why?" asked Naruto, not getting why his adopted father wanted him to catch Xiaozi. "Just humor an old man," spoke the former general as he smiled at his son, who just sighed and did what his father asked him and attempted to catch the little monkey, who quickly jumped away and scampered a few feet away from Naruto, where it then turned around and grinned cheekily at him. Frowning at this, Naruto walked over to and held out his hand in an attempted to pick the little monkey up. "Come here, Xiaozi, you know I won't hurt you." Xiaozi of course just grinned again and then raced straight at Naruto, avoiding his hand and running right between his legs, causing Naruto to fall on the ground as he tried to catch Xiaozi. "Damn it, Xiaozi, come back here!" cried the annoyed Naruto, as he picked himself up and chased after his pet monkey. This of course continued for the next hour or so, where Naruto continued to chase after Xiaozi all around the small clearing in his attempted to capture the little monkey. But each and every time Xiaozi would avoid Naruto's attempts, as thanks to his small size, the little monkey was quite fast and very agile, making him very difficult to catch. Seeing this of course, proved to be excellent entertainment for Iroh as he chuckled each time Naruto failed to catch Xiaozi and fell to the ground. After about an hour and a half of this, Naruto eventually collapsed from exhaustion, where he fell to the ground on his back and started panting in attempt to catch his breath. Seeing that Naruto no longer had the energy to continue chasing after him, Xiaozi went over to Iroh and climbed up Iroh's robes and onto his shoulder, where he then held out his small little paw. Smiling at this, Iroh then took out some bakwi berries from his sleeve and handed them to Xiaozi, who squealed in delight, as bakwi berries were his favorite. After giving Xiaozi the bakwi berries, Iroh then walked over to Naruto, who was still lying on the ground trying to catch his breath. When Naruto looked up at his father, he narrowed his eyes in annoyance as he saw Xiaozi munching on some of the berries Iroh had given him, as he couldn't believe that his friend had sold him out for bakwi berries. "Pant, traitor, pant," stated the tried Naruto, as he glared at the little monkey on Iroh's shoulder, who ignored Naruto's remark and continued to eat his berries. "Well, Naruto, do you now understand what I've been trying to teach you?" asked Iroh with an amused smile as he looked down at Naruto. "No," replied Naruto. Well then allow me to explain further, replied Iroh, where he then sat down on the ground next to Naruto. Tell me, how do you feel right now? Said Iroh. Tried, replied Naruto. Anything else? Asked Iroh. Annoyed I guess. Do you feel frustrated and even angry a little? Asked Iroh. A little I guess, replied Naruto, as he was a bit frustrated and had gotten a little angry, as he kept missing Xiaozi. Ah well now you know how Azula will feel, when you use this against her, stated Iroh, where in return he got a slightly confused look from Naruto, and decided to explain further. You see Naruto, any technique I can teach you to help in your fight against Azula, will do you no good, as you've yet to fully master the basics of firebending, because your flames are much stronger than most. Hence any advanced moves I could teach you would be worthless unless you have fully mastered the basics first, which will be impossible right now given the time we have before your match. This is why I am training you how to dodge your opponent's attacks, as this type of training can help you increase your speed and reaction time, as avoiding attacks are the more important thing you can do when in a fight. As the more an enemy's attacks miss you, the weaker they become, since attacking takes much more energy than avoiding an attack dose, not to mention the fewer injuries you have the betters. So you want me to wear Azula out? Asked Naruto, as he started to understand what his father was trying to tell him. That is one possible way to beat her, as given your level now and even with your white flames, it is unlikely you could beat Azula in a head-to-head fight. Since she has a great deal of natural skill and has been training for several years. While you Naruto, have only been training for a few months and a man who had trained for years to fight with a wooden sword, will always beat a novice with a metal sword. At hearing this Naruto nodded his head in understanding, as it did make sense, but still he was curious about something else. You said that if I continued to dodge Azula's attacks that wearing her out was one possible way to beat her. Meaning that there is another way to beat her by using this strategy, stated Naruto, where Iroh just nodded and smiled, as Naruto was becoming more astute. Yes there is, for you see like in all the bending arts, a bender must be both focused and in control of oneself when they bend an element. This is especially important for firebenders, since fire is alive, and if not controlled, then their powers will go out of control. Hence if you continue to dodge Azula's attacks, like when you continued to fail to catch Xiaozi, she can become frustrated and even angered. This then opens up the chance that she will make a mistake, allowing you an opening to exploit and defeat her when she is unprepared. After hearing this, Naruto nodded in understanding, after which the two of them shared some more tea with one another and then later continued their training. End flashback. Sadly though, despite his plan in getting Azula angry, working, Azula was still able to maintain some self-control over herself, and focused herself on Naruto, where she sent several different fireballs at Naruto all at once. Where give how close she was to him now, it left him with little room to go other than to jump to the left-hand corner of his side of the platform, leaving him cornered, with nowhere else to go. Now I have you, said the furious Azula, as she stood directly in front of Naruto and fired a powerful fire blast at him. Fortunately though, Naruto was able to avoid the attack, where just as Azula was about to fire her attack, he jumped up into the air and flipped over Azula and landed behind her, where he then quickly did a leg sweep, causing Azula to fall forward. But before Azula could hit the ground, the Fire Princess quickly brought her hands forward and used it to help her flip herself back onto her feet and landing at the edge of the corner of the platform, barely keeping herself from fall off it. After quickly regaining her balance, Azula immediately spun herself around and fired a powerful stream of fire at Naruto. She then followed the fire stream up with several more fireballs in a powerful blazing arc, forcing Naruto to retreat back to the other end of the platform. Once Naruto was at the other end of the platform, Azula quickly calmed herself down, as she realized that Naruto had been taunting her. so that she would get angry and lose control of herself and make a mistake. A tactic she herself had often used on Zuko on several occasions, when they spared with one another. After calming herself, Azula immediately smirked at Naruto. Nice try, Whiskers, but it'll take more than simply tricks like that to beat me. Seeing how Azula had realized what he was doing, Naruto narrowed his eyes. He wasn't surprised that Azula had figured out his strategy, as she was no one's fool. But still he had hoped that he could keep Azula angry and frustrated enough that she wouldn't figure out the truth until it was too late. Now that I've realized your pitiful little strategy, you're finished, cried Azula, where she sent a large powerful blast of fire at Naruto. When Naruto saw the blast of fire coming at him, he decided that it was finally time to fight back, where he immediately took up a fighting stance and fired a small but powerful blast of white fire. Although the blast was medium size, the force of the blast pushed Naruto back slightly, but thanks to his training with his father he held in stance. After Naruto fired his white flames, it crashed right into Azula's flames, where it caused a small explosion, causing the people who were watching the fight to bring up their arms to protect themselves from the heat of the flames. After the explosion of fire, Azula was of course shocked, not only because Naruto had firebend, but because his flames were pure white. Something that she had never seen or heard before, and if that wasn't enough, Naruto's white flames did not burn out like hers did, they in fact continued to burn on the ground. Thankfully as well, since the explosion was so small, the flames did not go very far, where no one who was watching the fight was hit by the flames and burnt by them. As Azula slowly got over her shock of Naruto firebending, as well as seeing his white flames, she barely registered the 3 balls of white fire flying towards her. Upon seeing the 3 balls of white fire coming at her, Azula barely avoided them by dropping down to the floor on her stomach. As the 3 balls of fire went by her, she could feel the heat on her back coming from the balls of fire that flew by her. The heat was of course immense, where they nearly lit back of her clothes on fire. After which the balls of fire then hit the large double doors that Naruto and Iroh walked through earlier, and burned right through them, leaving large holes in them, upon which the flames then fell to the floor, where they continued to burn. What is going on? What are those flames? How can that vagabond even use flames like that? Thought Azula with anger and confusion, as it made no sense to her, that a mere commoner like Naruto could use flames as powerful as those one. After avoiding Naruto's attack, Azula quickly picked herself up and attempted to strike back by firing a large stream of fire at Naruto, who quickly countered by firing his own stream of fire at her. When the 2 flames met, Naruto's flames almost instantly consumed Azula's flames to make them stronger and headed straight towards her. Seeing the flames coming at her, Azula knew she could not avoid them in time and closed her eyes, just as they were about to hit her. Naruto stopped his flames and put them out along with the flames he fired earlier, which were still burning. When Azula did not feel Naruto's flames burning her body, she opened her eyes to see Naruto putting his white flames out. "What did you do? Why didn't you finish me off?" asked Azula in confusion, as Naruto had her, and yet he stopped his attack. "Because family shouldn't hurt family. I may not like you, Azula, and you may not like me either. But whether you like it or not, we are family now and I won't hurt a member of my family, so let's end this fight now before either of us gets hurt," said Naruto, where he took a non-aggressive stance. Upon hearing this, Iroh smiled with pride at his adopted son, as when he saw Naruto's attack about to hit Azula. He feared for the worst, but thankfully Naruto had stopped the attack before it could hit and most likely kill Azula. He was further proud of the fact that Naruto was trying to stop this madness from continuing, as he had never wanted this fight to happen to begin with and wanted it to stop and hoped Azula would listen to reason. Sadly though, Azula did not, where all she saw in Naruto's gesture was an opening to exploit, where she fired 3 more blasts of fire at Naruto, followed by a large fire arc. Seeing the attacks coming at him, Naruto knew he couldn't intercept them all in time with his own flames. Not without losing control of his flames and hitting large numbers of the spectators watching the fight. So he decided that the only choice he had was to dodge them, where he used his high acrobatical skills to avoid the flames. When Azula saw this, a small sinister smile appeared on her face, as she realized something. I must admit, Naruto, when I first saw those flames of yours I began to worry, but now I see despite how powerful they are, you still can't fully control them. That's why you tried to make me angry and lose focus, so that it would be easier for you to take me out. You need to take a solid stance before you can fire your flames, due to the backlash of firing them, stated Azula. Naruto of course did not respond to Azula's remark, as he knew she was right, since his firebending was limited, given how he didn't have his it for very long. For the next few minutes Naruto was once again on the defensive, where he continued to avoid Azula's attacks. Who slowly moved towards Naruto, while firing her flames, limiting the area of space he had to move around. But do you know what the funny thing is? Asked Azula as she continued to send blasts of fire at Naruto. If you hadn't stopped your flames when you had me, you would have won. But instead, like the weakling that you are, you stopped them. I guess you really are just like Uncle Iroh, soft and worthless. Eventually though, Azula cornered Naruto at the left-hand corner of the platform. Nowhere to run now, Whiskers, stated Azula's when she cornered Naruto. Now burn. She cried as she sent a powerful stream of fire at the cornered Naruto, which enveloped him. Naruto! Cried Zuko as he saw his sister fire the stream of fire at his adopted cousin. Naruto! Cried Ty Lee, fearing that Azula had really killed Naruto. Even Mai showed some concern for Naruto's safety after being enveloped by Azula's flames. Ozai on the other hand smirked, believing that Naruto was now flawlessly done Azula. Although his smirk quickly disappeared when he thought about the white flames that Naruto created and wondered how on earth Naruto created them. Since they were clearly more powerful than any ordinary flames, furthermore the flames didn't burn out after Naruto fired them, in fact they continued to burn. As he thought about the flames more, Ozai began to wonder if his brother Iroh had taught Naruto how to create those flames. Since he refused to believe that some lowly commoner like Naruto could create such powerful flames like them by himself. But when Ozai turned to his brother, instead of seeing Iroh breaking down or going into a furious rage at the death of his adopted son, he saw that his brother remained perfectly calm and not the least bit worried. Confused at his brother's lack of concern, Ozai quickly turned back to the platform, where his eyes widened in surprise and confusion. At the same time, after she had fired her attack and her flames had dissipated, Azula looked to see what was left of Naruto, but much to her confusion and shock, there was no body. Azula of course knew that her flames weren't strong enough to completely destroy Naruto's body. Hence there had to be a body, yet there was no trace of him. Realizing that Naruto had to have avoided the attack somehow, Azula began to look around for Naruto, but couldn't find him anywhere. Thinking that Naruto had to have used one of his ninja tricks, Azula was about to call him out, stating that he couldn't beat her in proper Agni Kai and that he was a coward, in the hope that she could rile him up and lure him out. But before she could do that, she suddenly heard Naruto's voice from above her. Looking for me. When Azula and the rest of the spectators looked up, they saw Naruto floating in midair with white medium-sized flames sprouting from his hands. Upon seeing this, everyone in the crowd including Ozai, Zuko, Ty Lee, Mai couldn't believe that Naruto was pulling off jet propulsion. An advanced firebending move that even most firebending masters would have difficulty doing, and yet he was doing at a level that none of them or anyone else in over 100 years could do, using it to fly. The only ones in the room that weren't surprised at what Naruto was doing were Iroh, his guards and Naruto's guards Hu and Zhang, since they all knew Naruto could do this. When Ozai saw this, he immediately turned to his brother with a furious look, who in turn just smiled in amusement, as his brother stared angrily at him. "You taught him how to do that, didn't you?" accused Ozai angrily, as he found it infuriating that a mere common-born vagabond could pull an advanced firebending move that neither his daughter nor himself could do. "No, I did not, brother," replied Iroh with a smile. "Don't lie to me, Iroh. There's no possible way that that boy could do an advanced level move like that and do it at that level. That's he doing without some kind of special training," stated Ozai angrily. "I'm afraid I telling you the truth, brother, as Naruto discovered this by himself. Although I will admit I did give him some tips on helping him to maneuvers when flying and stay still in midair," answered Iroh with a smile, as he remembered when he first saw Naruto use the jet propulsion skill. Flashback. As Iroh was walking to the training area outside the capital with his guards, he suddenly heard Naruto scream and then saw something fly very fast over them and then crash into something. Before Iroh or his men could wonder what flew by them, Hu and Zhang suddenly came running up to them, with concerned looks on their faces. "Hu, Zhang, what happened? What was that thing that flew by and where is Naruto?" asked Iroh. "Sir, that thing that you just saw was Prince Naruto," replied Zhang, causing the former dragon of the West to have a confused and slightly worried look on his face. After which he and his guards along with Hu and Zhang raced to where Naruto went. Soon enough the group found the young blonde, up in a large tree, tangled in several branches with a large bump on his head. "Oh, moaned the blonde-haired prince in pain, as he tried to shake away the stars that were dancing around his head at the moment. "Naruto, are you all right?" asked Iroh. "Yeah, I think so, Dad," replied Naruto, as he still tried to get the world to stop spinning. "Hold on, we'll come up and get you down," spoke Iroh, after which he asked Hu and Zhang to go up the tree and help his adopted son down. After a few minutes Naruto was back on the ground, thanks to the help of his two guards. After which Iroh decided to ask Naruto what happened. "So tell me, Naruto, how is it that you got up in that tree? Were you blown back by your white flames again, when you were practicing your firebending?" asked Iroh with a slightly amused smirk on his face. Not exactly," replied Naruto. "I was actually practicing a new technique that I came up with, that I thought it would help me in my fight against Azula." "Oh, and what technique would that be?" asked Iroh with general curiosity. "Well, after all the times I was blown away when I was practicing my firebending, I thought maybe I could come up with a way where, not only could I use it to make me move around faster but also let me fly. But as you can see, I haven't exactly gotten the hang of it yet," said Naruto with his cheesy-like grin. "But I promise before my fight with Azula, I will have it down and fly circles around her with it." After hearing this, Iroh was of course surprised at what Naruto had said, since whether his son knew it or not, he was attempting a very advanced technique. But even still he had to admit that Naruto's idea did have merit, as his flames were indeed very powerful. "That is a very interesting idea you have, Naruto. Perhaps you can show me how well you have developed this technique of yours, as perhaps there is something I know that could help you improve." At hearing this, Naruto of course smiled as he was eager to show his father what he could do. After which the two of them along with their guards headed to the clearing, where they had been doing Naruto's training. Once they arrived in the center of the clearing, Naruto began to slowly summon his white flames to his hands and pointed them to the ground. After doing so, he then slowly increased his flames' powers, making them grow, where they slowly lifted him up a few feet into the air and then further and further up until he was at least 20 feet in the air. Upon seeing this, Iroh and his guards were of course amazed at Naruto being able to do an advanced level firebending move at this level, as it was something that most firebending masters could never do. It was even more shocking to them given the fact that Naruto had only been able to firebend a few months ago, and yet he had achieved something like this in only a couple of days. But when Naruto tried to move around in the air, he suddenly lost control of his flames, where he shot towards one of the nearby trees. Naruto! Cried Iroh with worry, as he saw Naruto going to crash into the tree. Fortunately though, Naruto was ready this time, where he quickly pointed both his hands towards the ground and fired a quick burst of his flames, allowing him to shoot himself up into the air and avoid the tree. After shooting himself slightly up into the air, Naruto then started to fall down to the tree that he nearly hit. Although as he did, he grabbed onto one of the thick branches of the tree and stopped himself from falling. After which he then swung him off the tree and landed back onto the ground, where Iroh and the others ran over to him. Naruto, are you okay? Are you hurt? Asked the concerned Iroh. No, I'm fine, Dad, replied Naruto as he brushed himself off, where Iroh just smiled with relief. Like you guys saw, I don't have much control in midair, where I can't do much other than go up and down. Yes, I can see that. Well, I think I can help you with that, replied Iroh, where he and Naruto began their new training. End flashback. At hearing his brother say how Naruto discovered the jet propulsion skill by himself, Ozai grew even angrily, as he refused to believe it. Although when he thought about it more, he came to realize that Naruto was able to do it because of his white flames. Since he had seen how powerful they were from earlier and given how they were far stronger than ordinary flames, it would make sense from them to allow Naruto to fly. As Iroh watched his young adopted son float in midair, he could help but find it funny how Naruto was able to grasp his jet propulsion skill so quickly. Yet he still had trouble doing ordinary firebending moves, although it had still taken a while for Naruto to master the skill, where they trained right up till the last minute. As everyone continued to gawk at Naruto being able to fly, none of them were more surprised than Azula as she continued stare at Naruto up in the air, since she still couldn't believe that Naruto was able to do this. But quickly enough, she got over her shock and fired a large ball of fire at Naruto. Seeing this, Naruto of course just smirked, where just before the ball of flames could hit him, he disappeared in a blur. After which the next thing anyone who was watching the fight saw, was Naruto appearing behind Azula and sweeping her legs from behind, causing her to fall on her back. The reason Naruto was able to do this was because, not only could his flames allow him to fly in the air, but also allow him to move at incredible speed due to their high velocity. After which Naruto the stoop over her, ready to deliver the final blow. What are you waiting for? Finish it, declared the young fire princess, as she knew she was finished. I don't need to. I already won, stated Naruto, where he looked match observer, who just nodded. The battle is over, the winner is Prince Naruto. Upon the announcement of Naruto winning the match, the entire chamber broke up in a thunderous applause. The loudest of cheers of course came from the palace servants and off-duty royal guards, who had cheered Naruto on from the beginning. Many of the noble families even joined in the applause, as they had all been impressed with Naruto's skill, especially with his new white flames. Others of course just remained shocked, as many of them couldn't believe that Naruto, a low-class foreign orphan, who through a stroke of luck was adopted into the royal family, defeated the Fire Lord's daughter Azula, a firebending prodigy. As Naruto heard the cheering people, he could not help but smile, as people were finally starting to acknowledge him. But when he held out his hand to lift Azula up, as an offer of friendship and respect for fighting so well, Azula smacked his hand away angrily. Don't touch me, you filthy commoner. I don't want your pity. At this, Naruto only shook his head in disappointment, and started to walk away towards his adopted father, who had walked up the platform with his guards and were heading towards them. Once Azula was back up on her feet and saw Naruto with his back turned against her, the young princess saw a chance to strike back. Don't you ever turn your back against me, peasant, said the girl angrily, as her defeat to Naruto was still fresh on her mind, where she prepared to send a stream of fire at Naruto. Seeing this, Iroh prepared to act and stop her attack, but before he could, his brother Ozai appeared behind her and grabbed hold of her shoulder and stopped from firing her attack. That's enough, hissed Ozai angrily, as he was furious at how his daughter lost to Naruto. Do not shame me any more than you already have. At this Azula relented, as she dared not disobey her father, although she did spare an angry glare at Naruto, who just sighed again with disappointed when he saw this. After which he then walked up to his adopted father and who was smiling proudly at him. Well done, Naruto. I am very proud of you, said Iroh. You fought very well, Naruto, stated who, with a small smile. You sure showed little Miss Princess, who was top dog, said Zhang Loli to Naruto, so that Azula and Ozai wouldn't hear him. Eek! Cried Xiao Zi, as he jumped off Iroh's shoulder and onto Naruto's and smiled at him, who then smiled in return and panted the little monkey softly on the head. Thanks you guys, I couldn't have done it, if it wasn't for your help. For the next few minutes Iroh and his guards continued to congratulate Naruto on his victory. Although the congratulations soon came to an end, when Ozai came up to them and was accompanied by a seething Azula and a silent Zuko, who gave the Naruto a quick smirk in congratulations, before go back to a neutral facade, when his father glanced at him. At seeing this, Naruto smiled, as he knew how much his older cousin had wanted to see Azula be brought down a peg or two, given all the times Azula teased and made fun of him. A most impressive battle, spoke Ozai with a neutral tone, although when he looked at Naruto, the young blonde could see the silent cold rage in his eyes. As the defeat of his prized daughter at the hands of a foreign commoner was beyond insulting to him. Thanks you, Fire Lord Ozai, replied Naruto in a respectful tone, as he knew what would happen if he spoke to his adopted uncle in a disrespectful tone. Perhaps you could tell me, brother, how your son came to wield these white flames? Asked Ozai, as he narrowed his eyes and looked at his older brother. Since he was certain that Iroh had somehow taught Naruto how to create the white flames. This question of course did not surprise or worry Iroh, as he expected his brother to ask this, but before he could answer the Fire Lord, Naruto spoke up. The reason why I can create my white flames is because of my bloodline, Fire Lord Ozai, said Naruto. Bloodline, spoke Ozai in surprise, where both Azula and Zuko looked at Naruto in surprise. Yes, lied Naruto, as this was a lie Iroh had come up with so to cover up Naruto's unique flames. Since Iroh knew that if Ozai knew the truth, he would try to use Naruto as some kind of human weapon against the other nations and bring about an untold amount of destruction about the lands. Ozai of course knew about bloodlines, as when his brother returned to the Fire Nation with Naruto, he had him write up a report about the elemental continuant and everything he learned about it and the warrior race that were called shinobi. In the report it mentioned bloodlines and how they were only possessed by certain members in a clan or family of shinobi. Zuko and Azula also of course knew about bloodlines, as Iroh and Naruto had mentioned it to them not long after Iroh returned to the Fire Nation with Naruto. And why exactly was I not informed of this when you first arrived? Asked Ozai with narrowed eyes. I'm afraid I did not know of Naruto abilities at the time. Naruto himself did not know until he started training with me to firebend, answered Iroh, with a half-lie. At this Ozai narrowed his eyes further, although soon accepted the story, as like his brother, Ozai found the abilities of bloodlines interesting. He had also thought about sending an expedition to the elemental continuant, in the hope of obtaining shinobis with some of these bloodlines, since he believed that they would be highly useful in their war against the Earth Kingdom. But now it seemed that fate had decided to send them Naruto, who possessed one of these bloodlines, which allowed him to conjure powerful white flames that could overpower and consume all other fire and destroy anything they hit, along with who knew what else. As Ozai stared at Naruto with a calculating look, he began to ponder on how he could use Naruto and his white flames. Since he found the idea of have a group of elite firebenders with the ability to create powerful white flames highly appealing. As the Fire Lord thought about this, he grew to like the idea more and more. Although as he did, he began to wonder how he could do this, as given what he knew about bloodlines, he knew they couldn't be taught to other people. The abilities of bloodlines could only be inherited by the children of those who wielded them. But as he thought about this, an idea suddenly appeared in his head, where he then looked at Naruto and then to his daughter, who was still glaring at the young blonde. It was then that a small dark smirk appeared on his face, which made Iroh and Naruto become slightly worried. Despite the fact that he found the very idea of mixing the royal blood of his family with the blood of a foreign commoner appalling. Ozai believed that the rewards were more than worth the price, as combine Azula's natural talent with Naruto's white flames. But even still, given what had happened here, he knew that his daughter would violently resist the idea of marrying Naruto, and he was certain that both Iroh and Naruto himself would also object it. Hence he decided that he would find some way of getting the two of them to wed, whether it was through force or through manipulation. It didn't even matter to him if the two of them weren't in love, all he wanted was for them to produce children with Naruto abilities. As Ozai continued to think over his idea, Mai and Tai Li walked over to the group to congratulate both Naruto and Azula on fighting so well. Azula, Naruto, you two were great. You were all whoosh, pow, waj, huff and bvrroo, stated Tai Li as she swung her arms around excitedly, whereafter seeing Azula upset. She then went to hug Azula in an attempt to console her on lost and say that it was okay. But before she could, Azula pushed her away angrily. Don't touch me. I don't want your sympathy, stated Azula angrily, after which she then stormed off. Seeing this, Tai Li went after her friend in the hope of cheering her up, but before she left she went over to Naruto and gave him a strong hug. This of course caused Naruto to blush, since it was the first time a girl had ever hugged him like that. "I'm glad you're safe. You were great, Whiskers," she whispered into Naruto's right ear before she let go of him, using the nickname she would call him from time to time. Ah, to be young, thought Iroh with a smile, when he saw the blush on his adopted son's face, when Tai Li hugged him. Mai also turned to join Tai Li in going after Tai Li, but not before giving Naruto a small smile and saying, "Not bad, Naruto," before turning to go after Tai Li and Azula. At this Naruto only smiled, after which he and his adopted father and their guards excused themselves from Ozai and walked off the platform, where they were greeted by many of the spectators, who all wanted to congratulate Naruto on his win and say how impressed they were with his new powers and his skill. Soon after, Naruto and his father were able to escape the crowd and went to Iroh's room to celebrate in their own way, by having some tea and a friendly game of pie show.